Well, good afternoon, everyone. Hope everybody had a good weekend. It was good to have the guys have a weekend off, try to recharge a little bit mentally and physically. We're back at it with a normal week of prep, normal stuff, and we'll be on the grass fields first half of this week. So we'll see the guys at 2:40 today. I know Coach True saw them this morning, and guys were excited about getting back to work. We know it's going to be a big task going to Colorado. We got to continue on from our game planning last week and really hone in on a lot of the details of the game plan this week.
Coach, based on what happened over the weekend, are you glad you didn't really pick this as an off week, but it fell in your lap to have an off week?
It was an interesting Saturday for sure. And some of that is just what college football is right now with great parity, and you better come ready to play, and you better have your A game. And there's a lot of really good teams out there that people don't know about that have really good, talented players. And, you just look at our league, there's some teams that won on the road, and those are huge wins when you get them on the road. And so just across the landscape, there was a lot of top 25 teams that either didn't play their best or give the opponent credit. They played well.
A little bit to look at Colorado. What are your biggest concerns with the Buffaloes?
There's a lot of concerns that we have. Obviously, go to the offensive side, and I think Sanders will be the first quarterback picked off the board. He should be. In the film that I've seen of a lot of the top guys, I think he's an excellent thrower. You can't really confuse him. I've seen a lot of different teams try to manipulate coverage and disguise, and he does a really good job pre-snap to post-snap. And he can make all the throws and has a lot of guys to throw the football to. And then on defense, they're going to be aggressive. We're going to see probably a lot of man coverage and some pressure, and so we have to be able to win in man coverage, and we have to be able to find ways to run the football.
Chris, what was the best thing that happened to your team during the bye week, you think?
Getting the guys that have been here 5 and 6 years a break. The amount of reps that they had taken since the 1st of August or the end of August when we started playing games. The guys that have been around that everybody knows about. We practiced those guys, but we were really smart with those guys and didn't have them out on the grass as long to try to get their bodies recovered because they've played a lot of snaps of football. And then on the flip side of that, our opportunity to work with a lot of younger players, whether they're freshmen or pretty young or new to the program, to develop those guys. And that development isn't necessarily for 2025. It's to develop them when we do have that need this season.
Travis Hunter is obviously unusual in that he plays both ways. From your perspective, when's the last time you looked at a player and thought he could play Ironman football?
Just doesn't happen a lot right now. There's probably a handful of guys, not a ton. There's probably a handful of guys that could do that, but to do it at the high level, we talked about that last week. He's doing it at such a high level on both sides of the ball, and playing fast on both sides of the ball, and it's really impressive to watch. Because he's making plays in both phases and big-time plays. He's not a role player on either side. He's a dynamic impact player on both sides.
Quarterback, is his ability to run and extend plays. I mean, he seems to be a very good scrambler.
Yeah.
How much of a challenge does that present to you?
It is. I mean, we have to have really good rush lanes. He is going to scramble, in my opinion, to throw, and does a tremendous job of keeping his eyes downfield. But he's athletic enough that when he does scramble to run, he can hurt you. And so, for us, it's going to be really good rush lanes as well as being able to collapse zones or stay with our man when we're in man and try to give him some different looks.
Did the off week kind of help Uso's situation?
We're encouraged by it. Once again, he didn't do anything last week other than stuff with rehabilitation and things with Coach True. Haven't seen him yet today, but got a report that it was promising. And so we hope to have him back this week. Now, will that be in a full-time role or in a limited role? That is to be determined as how the week goes. But last week at this time, I'd have said there's no chance that he plays. Now I think there's a really good chance he's going to be able to play.
Obviously, you guys didn't see Colorado last year. They struggled a lot defensively. They seem much improved on that side this season. What's kind of the biggest thing that you've seen that they're doing better than last season?
I didn't watch them last season, so I can't answer that question. As the season has gone this year, they've, I think, understood each other. Obviously, just like everybody else, there's new players. Every team has new players, and these new players have gelled, and I think they're playing really well right now. I thought they played extremely fast and physical and were aggressive against Baylor and then against UCF. And those are the two most recent games, one at home and one on the road. And that's the thing is I thought they were playing really physical and really at a high level, both home and away, and are gaining a lot of confidence on defense.
Just the fan environment in Boulder is pretty notorious for being one of the tougher to deal with. Do you is this a situation where you try to bring in a guy that played against Colorado back when they were playing to kind of talk to the kids?
No, not in particular. We have to do a really good job with our preparation. We got to do a really good job creating noise at practice. We got to do a really good job with tremendous focus. I know it's going to be a tough environment. It's a night game. It's two really good teams that it's going to come down to who can do the simple things, protect the football, who can win on third down, who can win in the red zone, all the things that typically determine games.
Do you have any lessons or takeaways from how the late kick in Provo went that you can use this week?
A little bit, yeah. A couple of things that we're going to adjust on Friday night. There's only so many things you can do based on departure times of planes and the sunlight and so forth. But we're doing a few things on Friday and Saturday to adjust a few things just on the more what we're doing with the guys, whether we're up on our feet or watching film or getting them away from it too. So we just met on that today. We have a couple of different adjustments we're making to both Friday and Saturday, but it still comes down to blow that whistle and what you do between the white lines, and are you prepared, and do you make great decisions, and do you play really fast?
Excuse me. I think people think Colorado's offense is just Travis Hunter and Shador, but they have 3 or 4 wide receivers who have contributed this year. What have you seen from those guys, and what challenges do they present?
I think they're really balanced, honestly, and they've rushed the football well too. Shador throws it to the guy that's open and reads coverage and knows where he's going with the football. And if it happens to be Travis Hunter, it happens to be Travis Hunter. I think the Horn kid's phenomenal football player. And they have other wide receivers and backs that can hurt you. So, for us, it's not like you're going to say, boy, we're going to put all our thoughts into one guy or put everything into the run game or everything into the pass game. We have to have tremendous balance on defense and be able to play the run when we're short and be able to play the pass when we have to load the box. I mean, there's nobody knows how this game is going to go, so we have to – the same thing. We have to have great fundamentals and techniques to whatever. I mean, there's going to be some new stuff too, that we haven't seen. So we have to do a great job of applying our rules and principles and playing really fast with the new things that we see, as well as some of the things that maybe are the staple of their offense.
You guys have had success on offense on those early drives, those drives that to some degree are scripted and to some degree are just the first few drives of the game. How important, are those scripted drives to, I guess, finding out tells of a defense, and how important is it to get points on those drives? Yeah,
it's imperative that you get points because the possessions are such a premium in general. Whether it's your first drive or your fifth drive, possessions are getting shorter, the amount of possessions you get. And I've been pleased the last few weeks we've been able to manufacture points on the first drive of the game. We'd like to always get touchdowns, but sometimes defenses throw a wrinkle at you or a kid makes a play. But I've been pleased with what we're doing offensively to start games. Now we just have to continue to sustain it like we did last 2 weeks ago against Oklahoma State.
Coach, do you recall the last time you played for a player like Travis Hunter?
I don't know. I'm sure that not that I've not played somebody that's played both ways all the time. I mean, there was a couple times where the guy played a little bit, but not the way he's doing it. No.
Coach, I'm curious about the running game. It seems like you've really had some good success this year, and why is that?
Well, DJ Giddens for starters, and the threat of Avery, the threat of Dylan, because there's some times where we're jetting Dylan across and everybody's paying attention to it, and it opens up some alleys for DJ. And then our offensive line and tight ends are doing a really good job. And they're an older group, but a new group together, and it's taken a little bit for those guys to gel. I think they're gelling. We're blocking well in the perimeter with wide receivers, so it's a collective group. To say it's just one person, you can never do that. It's a collective group of people that are gaining some confidence, and we have to continue to be balanced as an offense. But the only way you're balanced is by being able to do the first thing, which is rush the football.
It seems like, I mean, obviously running the football has kind of become a little bit of identity. Is that halfway through the season? Is that about right?
Yeah, I mean, our identity is 31 right now, and as he goes, it opens up everything else, and that's why, Avery's been more successful throwing the football because we're able to rush the football, and everybody. It opens up everything if you can run the football, and I assume that they're going to play a lot of guys in the box and try to take DJ away. Then somebody else is going to have to step up, whether it's in the throw game or somebody else rushing the football. But we're always looking for our identity, and for us, it's finding the ways to win on the perimeter with the guys that we have, finding the ways to get Avery some really good looks in the pocket, out of the pocket, and then the ability to rush the football with a variety of guys.
I was curious about the scout team guys and the work that they hopefully accomplished in the past week. Can you maybe highlight a little bit of that?
Yeah, we did some group work where we showed some Colorado pictures offensively and defensively, but then we did quite a bit of K-State versus K-State and those young guys, or maybe guys that are playing only on special teams, getting a chance to truly get coached on K-State football. And so we were able to do that 3 straight days for, a good 30 minutes a day probably, and getting those good pictures and being able to have those kids be able to watch that film and evaluate, maybe what their retention is from fall camp, which I think is a big thing, as well as, are they getting better at their technique? And I thought it was spirited. I thought we had a good day. It was pretty even throughout the 3 days with offense and defense winning. So I thought it was a fun time for us coaches, and I know those players that have been on scout team really enjoyed it.
Wondering about Braden Lofton. What's his
I
status?
doubt if Braden will be available this week. I don't think that. I think we're probably another week or so away. We're still hopeful, but I don't want to say for sure he's playing because he still has to pass a few more tests. Yes, and I know he's excited about the opportunity. I know he was excited about his time there. He has a ton of friends there. A lot of those teammates were his brothers, and that's what college football is right now. Coaches do that as well as players, and so it's always probably a little bit more special when you have a relationship with that previous school, whether you're a player or a coach. But same thing. It is once that game starts, it's in between the white lines, and you've got to beat your opponent just like you do in practice. And so I'm excited for him. He's playing really well, and he's healthy, he's fresh, and we've got to find ways to utilize him.
Were there any young guys who really impressed you with some extra opportunities?
Yeah, I don't have any names for you, Kellis. It just was good to see a lot of guys. Blake Barnett, it was fun to watch because we missed him during the spring. You know, he missed all of spring football, and so for him to truly get an opportunity, because he just first learned the offense in fall camp, for him to now run scout team and then play quarterback and do K-State stuff, that was fun for us to see. So we saw some really good things out of Blake, but that was fun just because we hadn't really had a chance to see that yet.